Hello and welcome to the Evangelist. This Easter, I'd like to tell you a story about SOOTY. SOOTY is a blue cattle dog. SOOTY is a family pet, but SOOTY also visits the farm. The family has a large farm, 2,000 acres, and one day SOOTY was at the farm and all the children arrived to visit the farm, and SOOTY was there, and SOOTY, as she traditionally did, always jumped up on the kids and gave them a lick and licked them on the face and greeted them, and the kids pushed them away, push her away. But one day we went with SOOTY, that is my son and my nephew, checking fences. And when we check the fences, we make small repairs to keep the cattle within the farm boundaries. And it takes a few hours. Well, at one point we came into a big open field, and there was just one tree there in the middle of the field. And all of a sudden SOOTY started to become quite agitated and was sniffing around, very, very kind of curious and agitated. And suddenly we could smell something. And as we got closer and closer to this tree in the open field, we saw a large cow who had died probably about 3 days earlier, but it was very bloated, and as you can imagine, it was fairly gross anyway. But SOOTY, by the way, the word SOOTY means like soot, it's dirt. It's a word used about the black kind of element that forms inside a chimney for a fireplace, that black soot, SOOTY. So the dog SOOTY, it's kind of like dirty. That's what the name means. But as SOOTY came close, she was very interested in this dead cow. And as you can imagine, body fluids were coming out of each one of the orifices of the cow. It was quite a repulsive thing. Anyway, out the mouth, out the ears, out the nose. And you know, a cow has a big nose normally, but this was very bloated, big nose with all the fluid coming out. And out the back as well, the fluid coming out. Well, SOOTY came up to the big nose of the cow and went and had a big lick on the nose. Anyway, my nephew, who was the owner of the dog, kicked SOOTY's, "Get away, SOOTY," from that. And you see, SOOTY thought this might be good for food, actually. And actually, in fact, tasted death. And I want to use SOOTY as an illustration for this Easter. You see, by instinct, SOOTY follows her path and will look at this thing and think of it in a context of food. And Adam and Eve, way back in Genesis, it talks about how they looked at the apple and it was good for food, but actually it was in fact death to them. It looked good for food, but actually it was death. And Adam and Eve and human nature, we're not meant to simply follow instinct. I don't know that SOOTY can help herself, but Adam and Eve could and are now willfully responsible for the death that is all around, that it's appointed for a man to die. Each one of us must face our death. Now the reality is that Jesus Christ, the leader of the church, he himself looked at death and did not want to taste. But Hebrews chapter 2 says he tasted death, that it was by the grace of God he tasted death for us all. He didn't do this by instinct. In fact, it was against his instinct. He didn't do it with a longing for it, no. In fact, he said, "Father, if this cup could pass from me, but nevertheless your will, not mine." And so it was the predetermined will of God that he should drink the cup, that is, the death on Good Friday that he embraced, not because he thought it would be good for him, but that he knew it would be, as an act of obedience, good for us, as part of God's premeditated plan. And so Jesus takes the cup, the curse, the death that we deserve, and he drinks it. And he drinks not simply the death, but the curse. He drinks the rejection. He drinks the poison of life and takes it away. And as we know, we celebrate Easter Sunday, the resurrection. The good news is that Jesus has tasted death for us all. And in doing so, he's released us from the fear of death and now sets us free in terms of life. So this Easter, this Good Friday, let me commend to you Jesus Christ and his work through the cross as he embraced death for us all. Thanks for watching The Evangelist.